I guess the first thing to understand is that there's lots of different types of ventilation systems. There are whole house ventilation systems, there's single room ventilation systems, there are systems specifically designed to extract moisture from specific areas of our house. A range hood or a bathroom extractor fan, I would call a ventilation system, right up to balanced heat recovery ventilation systems in airtight homes. Positive pressure ventilation system is most commonly what people are talking about when they talk about a ventilation system. So I guess I'll describe that, and then we can describe any of the others as we need to as we go along. So positive pressure ventilation system is where you have a fan and a filter, hopefully a filter, a fan mounted in the ceiling space, normally of a trussed ceiling, and it'll take that roof space air and pump it directly into the house, normally through 3 or 4 or 5 ducted outlets. So what it looks like on your ceiling is a plastic circle about that big with a screw-in bit in the middle, so you can turn them down or make them flow more if you want to. And up in the ceiling space, you've got pretty much a box with a fan in it and a filter sock off one side of that, and 4 or 5 ducts coming off that, going to each of those outlets. And so that filtered air, hopefully filtered air, is just pumped into the house, providing positive pressure. And so when you pump a litre of air into a house, a litre of air has got to come out of the house. We don't want the walls of the house bulging. So as you pump a litre of air from the roof space, a litre of air from the living space gets pushed out through the cracks and gaps in the building. And the theory would be that air is moisture laden or pollutant laden or carbon dioxide laden, and so you're replacing that with theoretically cleaner air from the roof space, and then there's the potential for heating or drying with that air, or not, as the case may be. So it doesn't take much imagination to know that in a trussed roof with metal on it, which is very common in New Zealand, in the summertime, that roof space is going to be really hot. You might get up to 35 degrees up there easily. And so if you pump that air into your house is going to overheat very quickly. So we don't want to do that. But on a winter's day, you might, on that same tin roof, you might find air temperatures of sort of, 24, 25 degrees, something like that. And the theory would be that that's helpful to pump that air into your house. So balanced heat recovery ventilation is where you have, it looks similar to the homeowner on the inside, and that you have little plastic, ducts and your plastic little roses in your ceiling, but up in the ceiling space, it's completely different. And in fact, those systems really shouldn't be installed in a ceiling space. They should be installed inside the insulation envelope of the house. So kind of when we retrofit them, you're already onto a loser with those systems anyway. They should be designed into the house in the first place. But with a balanced heat recovery ventilation system, you've got basically 2 sets of ducts, and one set of ducting is taking the warm but polluted and wet and lacking oxygen air from inside the house and pumping it out. And another set of ducts that's bringing in probably colder but cleaner and possibly drier air from the outside. And it runs through a heat exchanger, basically. So you can take the heat energy out of the outgoing air and put that into the incoming air. So you can, and the theory is, and the truth is, you can change some of the air without losing all your heat energy that was wrapped up in that air, which is not what positive pressure does. Positive pressure pushes that warmed air out of the house. So positive pressure, you would kind of want a house that had gaps in it, which is most New Zealand houses. It's pretty impossible. You have to really specifically build from brand new if you want an airtight house. So positive pressure has the advantage, if you like, that most New Zealand houses are already leaky, so they're going to work a treat. They are going to push air out of the house. There's no problem there. Balanced heat recovery ventilation, which is as I say, a completely different kettle of fish, um, and and there is more argument for those systems, but only if you have an airtight house that's been designed and built for that very purpose. And even then, you would need to be in the right climate zone to make them economically viable. And even then, there's still issues with the air change rates.